Hi friends, welcome to Aishusdiy. I have quite a lot of stuff on my beading mat and I want to create a 5-strand bracelet with these findings that I got from Nbeads.com. So we made a earring and then now I want to make a 5-strand bracelet. So here is the connector. I want to use it like this, and then I want to use some lobster claw clasp and some chain. So I picked bronze because I'm going towards bronzy finish. Even though this is silver, as you can see, you can include two metals in a single jewelry. That's totally fine. So but as you can see, the metal is not very silvery, if you can. So I wanted to use this bronze finding since I'm going towards the green and the bronze and the antique gold kind of a color theme. So I picked up some beads from my stash, and these are some 3x4 roundels, and these are some green 3x4 roundels as well. I have some leftover beads from my projects. So, and I also have this cute kind of pendant. I don't know if I'm going to use it, but I'm just going to hold on to that because this color stone is Martha Stewart's, and then this matches kind of the rhinestone here in the finding, right? Yep. So that's what I have in hand, and I'm using multiple color tones, I know, but I just want to be a little bit more you know open with this color combination. So here I have here all of these, and then I have some 6 seed beads in bronze color. This is all I have left with, and I have this matte light gold iris 4mm square beads, and this is from baublesandbeads.com, and I have a small tube of translucent green beads, seed beads in 6/0 as well. So these are all the things that I pulled out, and also some 10mm Czech beads in a metallic bronzy gold finish. And then also I have these ones. These are 8mm as well in the same color, but this is smooth round. And you need beading wire. You can use any beading wire you want. I'm going to use no, this is very thin. I'm going to use the 19-strand beading wire in gold color. This is what I'm going to use. Okay. Now, I would like to not cut my wire before, so I'm just going to leave this right here and then start designing my pattern, because once I design the pattern, then I will be able to know how I want all my beads to sit, where and when. So first I'm going to string these. Anyways, these beads are outside as well, and also I need some 11 seed beads just to give it some space between those. I'm going to use these. So randomly I'm going to pick up. I'm not going to follow any pattern. I'm just randomly putting some seed beads and some bicones here, some roundels, there we go. Just to break the pattern, I'm using a seed bead, and then some roundel again, then a seed bead, and let's do a bigger bead. Okay, then again I'm gonna take some roundels here, and a seed bead, a roundel, a seed bead, then probably this green bead. I really like that. It's a jade, I believe, so I'm gonna add that as well right here. And I still need some bicones at the end, so I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use a lighter version of the roundel, as you can see. And then I put 3 roundels together. Then a seed bead. Come on, get in there. Yep. And then again an 8mm, and then a seed bead. So I like this kind of a pattern right here. And some more of the roundels. It's hard to get in there. Okay. And then a seed bead. Then a bicone. Then a seed bead. Just to break the pattern. And then another 8mm. I don't know if it's an 8mm or 10mm, it doesn't matter. I just wanted to use this bead. That's about it. There is a size difference in these beads as well. So you need to take into account the length of these finding as well. So I'm going to take my ruler and then measure it about. So say this is already 6.5 and we have 1 inch of the lobster claw and some chain. So that's needed. So this much distance is more than enough for the center part if I'm going for the center. And why not okay, and then probably 1 more. Okay, that's perfect kind of. So I don't want any longer than this because this itself will add this much distance. I'm gonna measure again. See, this is already 7 inches. Probably I will take these 2 off and keep this much. So that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, first of all we need some crimp tubes or crimp beads, whichever you have available. I'm gonna use some crimp tubes, but in the gold color. Okay. I'm gonna dump some because we need 10 of those as we are going to do a couple of strands. And close that, take that, put a crimp tube here, and then come back to the center. I'm just making this as a center, or we can make this as a side. So let's just get everything ready here, then we shall see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the crimp tube. I already put the crimp tube, and then I'm going to put my bead stopper because I need this much to actually crimp. And now I'm going to cut my wire. So So I'm gonna cut about, say, here, because I need space to crimp, and I'm gonna add a crimp tube, and then I'm gonna put a bead stopper. So that is one strand that's done. Let's just get this over here. Then we can add or remove as we need. And then I'm gonna just make some more room for more beads. There we go. Add a crimp tube first. That way you don't have to add it at the end. So now this strand I want it to be with maybe this bead is much more nicer. Let's just try this. There we go. Okay, and this is also a bigger bead per se. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with some of these 6/0. Shall move all of these green beads to the side so that we don't have any confusion about that. There we go. And you can also put bead spacers or spacer beads or bead caps in between these. You can do pretty much anything. So I'm going to add more of the 6R, and this one I'm going to follow a pattern. So 1 6R, and it's just because I feel so. Doesn't matter, like however you want is what matters. Sometimes I may not feel that way. Now I just want to follow a pattern, so I'm just following a pattern. It's up to you. Whichever looks good is what you will go with. You can also mix and match colors and designs, patterns. Like you can do spacers, as I said, bead caps at the end of these beads. That'll dress up these more. But you can also make it simple, as I'm doing it right now. I'm not using any spacers. It's just going to be just beads. So maybe I will do this as a center. I'm thinking if I'm doing this as a center, I need to know how much I need. Okay, that's more than enough for me. Okay, so I shall put one more 6/0 at the end, then call it a day. So I'm just going to add one more crimp tube here. Okay, and take a bead stopper and put it about here. So you need this much at least to crimp. So now you take this and then you cut it off here. So the second strand is pretty much ready. Now we are going to do 5 strands, right? I shall make myself more and put this thing on, otherwise it will open up and just create a lot of mess. So I have quite a long one. Now the next one I want to do with the squares, because this has that teal effect, the green and the bronze together. So I thought this was a good addition. So I'm just going to add one seed bead at the end probably, and I'm just going to check whether the hole is big enough so that the seed bead will go inside. No, that's perfect. So now square bead 11 and some of these as well, just to create some more interest, right? And as I said, you can follow a pattern or you don't have to follow a pattern. There we go. And then 11 So this is the pattern I'm following. 2 of the square beads separated by seed beads, and 3 of this roundel separated by seed beads, and continuing the same. I am just going to do this for this length of the strand. And as I said, go through your stash and find what beads you have in a coordinating color fashion and use it. Sometimes it's hard to pick up like this, sometimes it's easy. So again, we might add or not add beads at the end, because all different strands needs to be at the different height, because there is a like an interesting height difference here. It's not flat. So I'll continue finishing this and I'll come back. So I have strung all the beads. I didn't finish it off completely, but I just continued the pattern. This is a different pattern and this is a different pattern. I have used 6 or seed beads, the square beads, the groundal crystal and seed beads in between, and followed a pattern of 2 beads. And here I did a little bit different asymmetrical pattern. It's not in the even position, but I included 4 bigger beads and then just added some seed beads, green seed beads and crystals in between. So I did that. So I thought, okay, I'll do it continuously and then finish off the strand. But then I want to know which one kind of looks good, right? That we need to check. So we'll just move all of these around so that we'll have enough space to check our beads. So I still have 1 crumb tube here, which I will put it in, and I shall. So these 3 things are there, 3 strands are there. So I'm just going to keep it like this, and I'm going to come in with this, and probably this will go here and this will go in the middle. So if that's the case, I like it, and I really like this pattern. So let's just do this. First, this is going to be anyways the center, so we can finish that first and then come back to these. Take one end of this and add it to the center of center loop of the finding, and then come back, go through the crimp tube and the seed bead, and then pull everything to the side and see if you like it. I want to dangle, and then go ahead and crimp it flat. And now push all these beads on top. These beads have bigger holes, so that's not a problem. And once again, if you're going to finish this off, you are going to check the length of this one more time, because we cannot do it later. So here it is, it's already 7 inches. That's more than enough, right? You're going to add a clasp and an adjustable chain. So let me just see if so here we go. If I put it around my wrist, see, this is already big. So I'm just going to remove some here because I wouldn't need that. So I'm going to take this off and the 6 or seed beads, and then I'm going to finish it off here. So I'm going to come in the middle again, the same as the other one, then go back through these beads, couple of beads, and then pull this. So here this has already come off, right? So just have to make sure everything is in the right position, and I also want to keep it in a round manner, not like straight, because you need to take into account that also. Pull it nice and tight, not very tight, but tight enough, and go ahead and crimp the bead. There we go. Now go ahead and snip this off, and we shall add, yes, we shall add the next strands, next all other strands. So we are done with the center one. Now we have to do the side one. Let's just do this because we have already cut this. So I take one side off. We already have the crimp tube here. Just put this in and come back through the crimp tube. And a couple of beads if you can. Just pull everything towards the end. And make sure you have enough space for the strand to move. That's very important. And now kind of push the other beads on top of the strand. If it is not going, which it doesn't, it is going. And let's see, the 11 seed beads, it doesn't. So I just will cut this short tail off and then move all the beads here. So now again I want to go ahead and keep this like this because I don't want to be, I don't want it to tighten. First, let's just keep it here and see how long we want this strand to be. Okay, there we go. Just move all the beads down here, and if you hold it right over here, I hope I'm talking in the camera. So here we go. So we need to take these two off, obviously, and the seed bead as well, so that way the proportion will be right. So I'm just going to remove the tubes and these, and then put the bead tube on. Then go ahead and put it in the proper slot, and then come back through the crimp tube, and obviously a couple of beads if you can. Okay, take your pliers and take off that extra space and just keep your beads like this, because anyways we are going to wear it like this, right? We don't want it to be straight and stiff, so we want a little bit of gap here. We don't want it to be completely closed, right? So there we go. So I'm happy with that, so I'm gonna crimp it right there and then snip off the short tail off. So we are done with the second strand. Make sure everything is proper. Okay, now we have the third strand, and here we go. So the third strand is going to be over here. It's gonna be this, right? Okay, so now we have the crimp tube here at the end. Let's just measure the distance first. Okay, just keep this straight, and if you keep this here, and we need to obviously skip some, so I will skip all of these if I can and see if this distance is enough. That's not, so I probably need at least this much, if not I think that should be the right fit. So I'm just going to take one seed bead and one 6/0 bead off, take my crimp and put it in the last hole, come back, come back through the crimp tube and through the seed beads. Oops, just came back through everything. Okay, if you can see this 6/0 seed bead doesn't help. Let me just try without that and see how far I can go. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the crimp tube, okay, and just gonna put it through this and then come back through the crimp tube and seed bead if you can. Some seed bead will accommodate, some won't, but it's always good to try, right? No, it's not. So what I'm gonna do here is I am just going to move the seed bead off and just put the crimp tube right at where I want. And then go ahead and crimp it, because this side it's going to be easy. And I'm going to cut the short tail off immediately after the crimp tube, because the seed bead is not accommodating 2 cords. It all depends upon the bead that you have right next to your crimp tube and move all the beads down here. And now I will check the length again, because making these 5 strands bracelet, you need to be careful enough that you have sufficient movement here, right? For some reason this one is twisted, I don't know why, but let's just put everything here towards this side and check. For some reason the wire is acting weirdly, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to snip this off and redo this. And then probably take the seed bead off. Take the crimp tube. Another one, because we have used that one and that didn't work. Just go through this and come back through the crimp tube. Let me just snip this thing off a little bit more so that my wire is nice and straight. Otherwise it's just wobbly. Okay, there we go. And now we have everything fine right here. So go ahead and crimp this and snip this excess tail off completely. Now move all the beads. Okay, now there we go. So now we are back here. So I started with the green. You can think that I need to end with the green. That's totally what I was also thinking. I will just add one green to make this even. So I'm gonna just cut it off here because I need just a little bit, about 1.5 inches to work with. Take this off and put a crystal right here. And then our crimp tube and check the length again. See, there's a little bit too much in my opinion, but that's okay. Go through the crimp tube and the crystal probably. There we go. Once it's out, make sure you pull it and just making sure that this one is nice. Yes, we don't want it to be very tight, as I said. Go ahead and crimp that and cut that tail. So 3 done, 2 more to go. Okay. the next one, here we go. We need crimp tubes. Pick up one, and then this is supposed to come this side, and I'm working by putting the bracelet upside down, which is convenient for me, but if you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to do that. Again, there is a seed bead here. The seed bead is not accommodating, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove the seed bead and put the crimp tube on, and then come back through the correct hole. That's the last but one, and go back through the crimp tube. Just put a little bit more tail, that's okay. And then a crystal as well. Okay. Now push this all the way in. Go ahead and crimp it. And then snip this tail off right after the crystal. Then move all the beads down here. Okay, so obviously we don't need this much, as you can see, right? You don't need that much. So what I'm gonna do again is I'm just going to go ahead and take all of these beads off. No, this one will stay. So then the distance will be correct. So I'm just going to cut about here, leave the rest over there, take a crimp tube, okay, and then the last but next, go through the crimp tube and couple of seed beads. The 6 of seed beads has a bigger hole, so you will have no problems putting it through. There we go. And then pull that short tail out and hold that thing, and again check it, check for flexibility, and if you're okay with it, then go ahead and crimp that bead. Snip off this excess tail. We're almost done, just one more, that's about it. We still have the last strand to put onto here, and we have our crimp tube already in here, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just come in and put it in the last loop that we have, and then come back through the crimp tube. So this beading wire is 19 strand nylon coated wire, but the thing is it kinks, so you need to be careful about that. And if you can see, when you put the wire through the crimp tube bag, it always crisscrosses. So make sure, if possible, just make it parallel. So it's always good to do that, make the wire parallel. that will strengthen the crimp bead, because if the wire is twisted or crisscrossed inside the crimp tube, the way it holds the crimp bead is you squish it, so it just presses it. So if there is a twist inside, then you will have probably a gap. So if it is flat, then it's more secure. That's the reason why we are doing that. So now we shall go ahead and cut our short tail, because I have my seed beads as my first bead. So now I move all the beads here down and see the distance. So I don't need that much anyways. I will cut my bead stringing wire from this bowl. So we will not need that much, but yes, that should be good. Take a crimp tube, put it through the last loop here and back through the crimp tube, just the crimp tube, because it will not go through the 11-0, right? So just put the thing back through the crimp tube and pull this down. Now pull this down as much as you can, and now see if it is nice and if it's holding and everything perfectly. Okay, now I'll go ahead and crimp the tube and then snip off the excess wire. We are almost done. We just need to add the clasp part, and that's about it. Our bracelet is all done. So here we go. This is how it looks. It looks very pretty. So now all the thing that you need to do is add the clasp. So we have our chain. If you want to do a magnetic clasp, I think a magnetic clasp would look good, but let me just try this out, because for a magnetic clasp I do need quite a bit of a distance, right? Don't you think? Yeah. So I measured it according to the specifications of this, right? The lobster claw clasp. That's what we were thinking of using it. So now I want some jump rings to attach the lobster claw clasp and the chain to this. I'm going to use this stainless steel jump ring or antique silver jump ring, because we have used two-tone metals in this bracelet, so I am comfortable using that. I'm going to take my bent nose pliers and my tweezer nose pliers to open and close my jump rings, and here we go. There we go. Twist it open, put it inside this loop and your lobster claw. Make sure it's closed. Wiggle back and forth, and let's just put one more to be on the safer side, right? It's always good to be safe than sorry. Hold it right there. There we go. Just make sure you hold it. It's a bit tricky because we already have one jump ring there, and now it's much more secure in my opinion. So here at this end, if you have a big Rollo chain maybe, so you can use those, that will be really nice, because I don't have such a little bit 4mm, 5mm roller chain. I don't have that, so I'm going in with this chain. So I will cut about, say, 2 inches is more than enough. So 1.5 inches to 2. And then take my jump ring, use my bent nose pliers, there we go, attach it here, and here too I would like to use 2 jump rings to be more secure. So for the end part you can make a dangle that will look really pretty in this. Actually the dangle will look pretty in any bracelet, but I think it will add more to the bracelet. So I am going to pick one bead to act as a dangle. So probably this one right here looks good to me, right? We shall make a dangle. So for that we need a head pin. So I shall use a bronze head pin. You can use a silver head pin if you want to. I'm gonna just use a bronze head pin. There we go. So now I just add this here, and if you want you can add a bead on top, maybe the smallest 6/0 or even the 11/0. Yeah, 11/0 looks good. So I'm gonna add 1 11/0 and this bead right here, and then 1 11/0. That kind of looks good to me. So now I'm going to go ahead and bend this wire on top, snip off, take my round nose pliers and make a basic loop. There we go. Then open up this loop, and before doing that I am going to use this closed twisted jump ring that I have here for this clasp to come and lock into. So that's what I thought I'll do. Then I will have to take this and add that here. So I will add this at the end of my chain. Right, and then what I'm going to do is these twisted chain, all this chain has this opening that we can take advantage of. Just going to see whether this one has it or not. If it doesn't, then I cannot, but if it does, I can make use of that. I think it does, but let me just see. Yeah, there we go. So I twist open one of the links from this bronze chain, and I'm going to add this closed jump ring to it, because even though there is 2 jump rings, I still need a big enough place to hold on and come and join the clasp. So what I'm going to do now is open up this jump ring and add this closed ring to that, and do the same. Open up the other one, and add it to the twisted and closed jump ring and close it. Okay. Done. So this is what we have. So these 2 jump rings gets attached to the closed jump ring, and then we have an extension chain kind of a thing. This comes and buckles in there. Okay, there we go. This comes and that's the bracelet right here. The highlight of this bracelet is this finding right here, the 5 strand finding. So I hope you guys like this video. If you do, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the bell icon for notification. I do upload videos couple of times a week. And thanks so much for watching. Have a good day and bye. I will leave down in the description box below where you can get this and the link for this and the other products that I got. Thanks. So as I said, it's from Nbeads, and this video I have highlighted this special finding that we got from nbeads.com. I will leave down the description box below the discount code that you can use especially for our channel viewers, so you can take advantage of that and buy these beautiful findings.